Oh, that's right. How you doing today? Hey, it's me, Ann Eller, back here this afternoon. Hope you've been having a great day. Certainly is a day to be outside enjoying this glorious day. Aren't they? They're just so beautiful. But now I have a very special guest with us here this afternoon. It is, of course, Senator Billy Garrett right here, and he has a lot to talk about, and I've got a lot to ask him. And if you've got a question, I certainly hope that you will text us at 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. You can, of course, call that number. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get your call till the end, but that's okay. You can still call me, and I'll check the messages at the end. Again, that number, 864-229-7984. We also are live on Facebook at WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. So, we have Senator Billy Garrett in the studio, not on the telephone line. How you doing today, Billy?
I'm fantastic, Ann. I hope you're well.
I am well.
You appear to be well on such a beautiful day today.
Wide open here. That's right. So, okay, well, let's see. Have we got this one here? Well, I don't know what's going on. We'll see here. Anyways, we've got Billy here with us. I don't know whether it looks like we have a frozen screen here a little bit, but we'll still have Billy right here on the air with us. And I am here to say, Billy, what's going on in the world?
Hey, everything's great. Listen, we got a Trump economy going. Things are doing well.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting D.C. straightened out. It sounds like. Looks like we're stopping some of the crime in D.C. and making our nation's capital beautiful again.
Right.
So I'm all excited about that. That's a good thing.
Right.
And South Carolina's doing well, and we've got a budget surplus of over $700 million. So maybe we've got a little money for a rainy day fund. What do you think?
Well, I hope that we're able to put some of this money out here where there are some of our industries and whatever that need some help. So I hope that we're going to be able to have that this coming up. So I know that you were at the Veterans event on Sunday, the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah, wasn't that a beautiful event?
It was. It was.
We inducted, previously there was 293 Greenwoodians that are in our Hall of Fame, which is fantastic.
Right.
They have their pictures and their shadow box in there that are up in our museum. You know, a lot of counties don't even have these museums, but Greenwood does. We have the plaza,
right,
which is beautiful in our museum. And, of course, the best director, Rosalind Burke in the state, as far as I'm concerned, is our Veterans Administrator. And we added 29 new people to that. And I had a nice talk with them, and we talked about some of the things that are important to, at least to the legislature, but just how important they are to America. I mean, our heroes, I mean, that's what they are. They served and gave their life, love, body, and, you know, their families. Everybody, you know, sacrificed so much for our country, you know, so we can have this freedom that we call America. I mean, it's just fantastic for me to be able to, and so honorable to be able to go talk to those folks and just participate and honor them the way they should be honored. And I'm so excited. I'm trying to get them to go ahead, and all of them, and a lot of them won't talk, you know, about their events and the things that they did, but they need to. You know, as a historian at Lander University, I was able to actually go out and do an interview with one of the folks that flew on the Doolittle's Tokyo raid, and that was our first response to Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And so got to speak to him and do an oral history on him, and was able to put that into the library there at Lander. I'm hoping that every one of these people who are still alive will give us a story about what happened. You know, if you go back and you read Civil War work or whatever, the important thing is what did the person on the ground who was in the fight, what did they have to say about it, and how did they handle it, and that kind of thing. And it makes it more human, and it makes it so much better for our historians to be able to write history, not based upon some theory, but actually what the people in the field were saying. So I asked these folks, we had some from World War II, we had some from the Gulf War, Afghanistan, Iraq, host of places that they were sent, and I'm just so excited about them being in the Hall of Heroes.
They are. And of course, the Veterans History Project is a national history project that I was involved in several years ago about doing histories and making sure that they're videoed and there for in perpetuity. And in fact, some of the movies that come out actually come from the stories of the veterans.
Really, that's good. And
Yeah.
I knew Jeff was involved in the military, kind of the quiet side of the military, but
Right.
don't tell side of the military. But I'm glad to see that you participated in that. So we learn from our mistakes and we learn from the things that we do good. And I just think for military historians and being able to plan for the future, we need to go back and think about what they were thinking about at the time to make sure that we don't make the same kind of mistakes that we might have made previously.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what we're going to do, because I think I've got a frozen camera and I need to be able to see Billy on the screen. We are going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't you go away. So listen up. And when we come back, if you've got questions, we've got Senator Billy Garrett with us here today, our very special guest. Let's see if I can fix that camera so I can really put him in the hot seat. All right, we'll be right back here at WCRS Radio. Take it away. Oh, that's right. I got him. I got it figured out. It'll be a little different view than we usually have, but you know what? I'm capable of doing this kind of stuff, so I did it. Anyways, we are right back here at WCRS. My very special guest today is Senator Billy Garrett here. Let me get it on the table one. And there is Billy sitting right there. How you doing, Billy?
I'm excellent.
Okay, let's get ready. Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's rumble.
Okay, so we had a little bit of time, but we won't take another break, so that's okay. So you think what Trump is doing is great?
I do. I mean, I'm all about America first. And I think everything that he's doing, I'm really excited about. So hopefully he'll keep doing it, and hopefully our economy will withstand the tariff issue that he's putting in. But he's putting billions of dollars back in the coffers, which is excellent because we got to start paying down this America debt somehow. And I see this as one of the ways to do it is to move everything over here back to America, produce it in America. We have taxes, but they're low end, lower taxes, and so we can tax at a lower rate and have everything here. And then anybody sending us anything, we can cause a tariff. And look, a lot of these countries, were taking advantage of us and have been for years. And many of the presidents have allowed it. So we're in a situation where we need to make sure that we're treated fairly. And I'm excited also about the 5% for NATO. I mean, think about it. All these millions and billions of dollars, one of our largest expenses is our military, of course. And if we're trying to save the world and protect the world, we need help. We can't do that all alone, and we shouldn't be required to. China's certainly not doing it. And so they're taking all their money into their coffers,
Sure.
China's over here buying our land, and we need to stop that completely. We
Well,
can't
not
buy
in
land in
some,
China.
not in some areas. They're putting a stop on it, and I don't know. Is South Carolina putting a stop on it?
Senator Massey and myself filed a bill to stop a deal that was going forward in McCormick County, where they were trying to take 500 acres and turn it into a food processing plant. Again, they're controlling our pharmaceuticals, our food. Why would we let that happen? So
I know. Why would we?
We were able to stop that in that setting a couple 3 years ago. So again, I'm hoping that the General Assembly as a whole has a hard line. Here's the problem, and we got into it. I didn't get into it until 20, but we found out all of a sudden that they already had their grapples into a lot of our land before we really woke up and saw it.
Right.
And they were so strategic about how they did it. They also got their land at or near our military bases, at or near our universities. Then they loaded up the people coming to our universities. There's one thing, and I agree with Laura about that, is that allowing 600 Chinese students to come to America.
660 or 600,000.
600,000. 600,000, whatever.
Right.
I mean, I agree with her. I don't like that part, but I'm assuming there's some magic behind that.
Yeah, I think they're paying the golden ticket, so they're paying money. But I don't care.
Well,
why should we put our students second?
We shouldn't,
and
we
that's
should
the
never
point.
do that.
Yeah.
And that's the point. And again, I'm not sure what his strategic reason for doing that, but his America First agenda has always been, ahead of the game. So I'm waiting to figure out what.
Well, yeah, I think he should just come ahead and tell us, because otherwise it looks like. And you know what? There is a fine line, I believe, between being for the money, getting the money and everything, and being for our students, our people. I mean, I think we've got to protect, and in that one that you opened up the door about, the students, that is a big one, I think.
There's no question about it, Anna. And again, I'm hoping that he's got some strategic reason for doing that. It seems to me everything he does is strategic.
Right.
Sometimes he throws stuff out there just to get us all excited or unexcited, whichever it is. And so I'm hoping that we conquer that. But let me say this. In almost every, including Lander, in almost every institution of higher learning, there are Chinese that have been there. And I can't help but think that some of that may be strategic. I pray not.
Strategic from China's aspect.
Yes.
And they say that if they come here to the States, they're required, now I haven't ever seen anything in writing, but this is what's been said, to report back to the government.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, so anybody can go here to Greenwood, for instance. Let's just suppose Greenwood, and suppose they go to Lander, and suppose they get all the information on all the public officials, all the heads of government, all the people that are involved in industry, all the people that are involved in banks, and they know their names, their wives' names, their location, their children's names, et cetera, et cetera. So, if there was ever a situation, they would know exactly where to go.
Right.
Wouldn't they?
Yes.
To decapitate a city, something like that. And then on top of that, they've got all these people that are here in America that are illegal. And one worries about, what are all those Chinese people doing here illegal and in good health? I mean, could they get together and take out one town at a time if they wanted to? Again, it seems
these
to me
are all
that
hypothetical
these
type
are all,
things.
Yeah, absolutely, all hypothetical. but possible nonetheless. And his idea about taking away, getting rid of these illegals has to be done. I mean,
Sure.
if we're going to have a sovereign nation and take care of business, we got to make.
Well, I mean, it is happening.
Laws.
It is happening. It is, and then I want to turn it to the state. It is unfortunate that we have judges that seem to think that they rule the world and doing away with, like trying to do away with Alcatraz, Alligator Alley down there in Florida and this type of thing, instead of realizing the potential for the good of the country.
Well, I mean, again, one of the reasons they're trying to do it is because of, various animals, environmental protection. But, by doing that kind of thing, it's exactly the reason that he dosed the environmental agencies, and they're gonna be hurt by it. We need to protect our natural resources, obviously.
Right.
But these regulations and all that they're putting up, stopping us producing nuclear energy, a host of I could go on and on and on about all the regulations that we need to cut.
Right.
If we're going to move America forward, we're going to move South Carolina forward, we have got to cut regulations.
Well, speaking of cutting regulations, I think the last time you were on, we were saying, oh, need to doge. I need to know, what kind of dozing is going on here in South Carolina?
Not as much as I want there to be. I can assure you that we are looking very, very closely at the Medicaid in South Carolina right now. The Attorney General is working very hard and diligently in putting together. He has two separate parts to his agency. One part deals with the providers, the fraud that potential providers can create, and the other is the applicants, the frauds that the applicants can create. And so and he's working extremely hard. Of course, he's running for governor, but in his day job, in his day job,
and that's a good project to be working on if you're running for governor. I mean, that's a good project to be working on if you're running for governor.
I mean, if you look at what percent of our budget goes to Medicaid, you'd be shocked, Dan. Do you know that 60% of every baby born in South Carolina is a Medicaid baby?
No, I didn't know that.
I mean, it's shocking. And so, in some of the materials we found, there were over 1,000 people that had over $100,000 in assets, and yet they were still on Medicaid. And I'm told that what happened is during the Biden administration and during the COVID crisis, that anybody who wanted to get on Medicaid could. Mm-hmm. And I'm told that when it ended in August of 23, that they have been now dozing, so to speak, and cutting those people back and trying to get those people now off who are not entitled to it. Look, I mean, the disabled, the blind, the aged, we need to make sure we take care of those people. I don't have any issue with that. And frankly, probably ought to give them more benefits, maybe even dental care. I've always worried about that. And if we got some of these people off that shouldn't be on there, in one case, there were 2 millionaires who were allegedly on it.
That's just shameful.
It's worse, and it's worse than shameful. And we as a country can't afford that, and we got to stop that. And we can't let people who think they're privileged be able to take away money from the very people that we're supposed to be protecting. It's the worst thing I've ever seen, and we're working on it. So I can tell you, that some of that some of that information will be coming out soon, and the oversight of the Senate and the oversight of the General Assembly as a general rule. We're going to have more dozing going on than you can see, but it takes time, and you can't just go out and make statements. You got to get facts to back up any type.
Well, what are you talking about? The federal government did that.
Well, I understand. I can't worry about the federal government right now.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm worried
we
about
had Elon there and the president.
You saw what he did, and he did, and some of the, I'd say 98% of everything he did was fantastic. There were a couple of things he probably did that probably shouldn't have been cut, that upon reflection had to be fixed.
Right.
You need to be cold, clear, friendly, fair, but firm in your calculation as to what you're going to cut and what you're not going to cut. So, but I think every state agency could tighten its belt. Look, the only way we're going to get out of this deficit, not for South Carolina, but for this nation,
right,
is
37 trillion, whatever it
is to start reducing the size of government and the cost of government. In South Carolina, we want to do away with the income tax. If we're serious about that, we're going to have to reduce the size of government.
Well, you had a big overage come in this year,
Right.
784
Every
million.
year that I've been there's been an overage. Of course,
Right.
every year that I've been there, I want to make sure teachers got a pay raise.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because we had to get them up. We had to get them up. So there are some priorities that have to be accommodated. Police officers. And Ann, as I told you before, I found out that 177 schools did not have SRO officers. I remember when one of our last but the governor just signed the bill to make sure that all 177 schools now, so all of our schools have resource officers, and they're going to be trained resource officers.
So when you talk about paying in the schools and the school teachers and everything, we had a question come in.
Okay.
The school districts in our area have always demonstrated very sound financial planning and fiscal responsibility, but they're facing major budget issues due to the shortfall of budgeting from the state budget. Is there any plan for 26? Now, I happen to know that District 50, through being very judicious, was able to make it through this year, but they won't be able to make it any further than that. So what is the plan for the shortfall? I know you told me and said on the air that they should have known this was coming. And
well, again, I'm not being negative about that. Look, I'm excited about what our education system does here in South Carolina. Although we're 40-something, in education, and we got to do better.
Right. Well, actually, the district here is doing very well.
I like what 50 is doing, and also 51, 52. So let me just say this. There are some, but those were anticipated. But now that we've got this excess, I think they said it was down by $88 million. Nothing would suit me better than to see Greg Hembry, who is the chairman of our education committee, and get with leadership, and that we try to buffer that as best we can. I mean, we've already added the SROs. We've already increased teacher salaries.
Right.
So again, we the education area, just as well as every other area, needs to look for ways to cut expenses if we can.
Well, I think Ronnie Smith, I think it's Ronnie Smith, has worked. I know his department worked, and they were able to make it this year. But next year, they're not going to be able to do it. And there's talk of a referendum. We've got schools. We've got people moving in our area. We need more space for students in the school systems.
Well, we've added a school in Saluda. We've added a school in Abbeville recently. Wearshows is slated to get a school hopefully soon. Greenwood seems to have enough right now, but look,
not
if we're going
futuristically,
yeah. But again, if we're talking about right now, but as we grow, we haven't grown as fast as, for instance, Lexington, and it's got a lot of new schools there, fantastic schools. But again, the people are investing in that there in Lexington, and Saluda, like I said, we just got a new elementary school there. And,
have you or the delegation ever met with the superintendents of our school districts here?
Yeah, we meet with them as much as they invite us, or if they ask us to come. And I've had numerous conversations with both. One of them actually invited me to the Ware Shoals to their first game come Friday night for the coin toss and whatnot. So we have general conversations. I also have the same thing in Saluda, and also the same thing in Lexington County, where we
real conversations
with the board. And, I'm very easy to find. All they got to do is pick up the phone and call me, and if they need for me to come, we can come, or I can talk. I received a call from Ronnie, and he told me what the situation was, and I went and immediately looked into it and called Greg Hembry, the chairman, and expressed his concerns. And Greg said, well, again, some of those were anticipated, and it was, in the formulas for them to develop. Some of them didn't, I guess, think that they were serious about that formula, but they were. And so all I can say is,
I think it wasn't only Greenwood; it was across the state.
Oh, it was across the state.
Yes.
And so when we talk about the $88 billion, okay, or is it 88?
I don't know.
It's either 80. I'm trying to think what it was, what they said they needed that they was short. I think it was 88 million. But regardless of what it was, I'm hoping, it would be in the millions. I am hoping that the legislature through our leadership, will do whatever they can. I mean, education is one of our first priorities. Defense of the people, those SROs,
Right.
Defense of our people is always number one. And then number two, by far, is education. So we need to take care of education in all the ways possible. And so I've made a commitment to these folks that I will definitely be talking to the legislature, to the leadership about our needs in District 10. We need to make sure we get all we can get for them, and we do.
Right.
With new schools and whatnot. Again, Ware Shoals, I'm hoping, is the next one in line to get a school, and hopefully that will happen.
Well, I know when they talk about putting in a development in Greenwood, one of the questions that they actually have to go and talk to the schools and say, if we get X amount of students, are you going to be able to take them?
Yeah.
And I was at Benjamin Mays this morning, and they are overflowing to the gills over there. And they've got more students that are going to be coming when that housing development out on 25 goes in. They are anticipating X amount of kids there.
Well, again, as we grow, and to be honest with you, I've talked to both Theo Lane, our county chairman, Kathy Miller, Dane Pruitt. I've talked to Mark Allison, and I've talked to several of the need for a 25-year plan. With this explosive growth that we've got, with these people moving in from these other states.
You mean a strategic plan?
A strategic plan.
A strategic plan. What an idea.
What an idea.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't found one yet, and I've said if there's one that needs to be dusted off, let's pull it out and dust it off. And I really think we need to develop the south side of Greenwood as well. We need to take away some of the traffic problems that we're having in Greenwood and try to move it into South Greenwood and kind of divide it up a little bit. I mean, some of the most beautiful land in our county is in South Greenwood, all the way down through 96 and all the way down through Callison. So we need to be thinking in terms of the strategic plan that includes building out infrastructure all the way out throughout there, and making sure that we allocate housing accordingly, that we put our buildings for our industry wherever they need to be, but concentrate them so we don't integrate them and create problems for our people in their living homes. And I don't want to see us do like Lexington did. I mean, unfortunately, there are a lot of houses there in Lexington that have 20 feet, 10 foot, 10 foot and 10 foot setback, 20 foot apart from each other.
I think the other thing is we're seeing an increase in homelessness in this area because we don't have really affordable housing. I mean, there's all different levels of homelessness. I mean, we have that's related to drug related, and we're very fortunate to have Pathway Houses doing great work over there.
Tremendous work.
But what is the plan across our state? I mean, I was reading an article today about the price jump in housing and how it's just making it unaffordable for those on the middle rate. Well, with the interest rate,
too, the president's trying to get the interest rates down. I hope and pray that that'll happen.
But when you double the value of housing, it doesn't matter.
It's not necessarily doubling. I think it's on average went up 12% is what I'm seeing across the board. But with the interest rates, it doesn't matter. They couldn't afford it because of the interest rates. And I think the market will come down a little bit. I hope it does, where people can afford houses. I think our incomes are going up. I really do. I'm hoping that our leaders in the county and our state and through our commerce department will bring in a big company. I'm just praying for a big company with 3,000, 4,000 employees. If we got that in, then and good paying jobs, then we'll be able to afford a house again if the price of the interest rates come down. And I'm praying for that. And I think the president's trying to do that. He recognizes to spur this economy, like it was spurred before in his first 4 years, we got to get these interest rates down.
Yeah, that's why he's yelling at the head of the Fed, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's maybe other reasons that he's having a difficulty with the feds, but.
Now, one of the things that bothers a lot of people, Billy, is these houses that we have that people that are homeless come into and move into. They have like anywhere from 10 to 20 in a 3-bedroom house, and then
shut that. I mean, we're shutting that down completely. This idea of squatters' rights. That's just not.
Well, I'm talking
happen.
about these drug rehabilitation homes.
That's something different. Okay, yeah, we need to continue. We've just put some parameters around, some guardrails around that, just to identify what they are.
Does the police, the sheriff, are there anything that can say you can't do this type rules, or are they just in general? This is okay. You've got 20 people, and we've approved that you can have 15. I mean, what are the things that are going to stop it?
They're working on those. I hate to call them regulations, Miss Ann, but they're working on trying to figure out exactly how many can be to a house. Similar to how many children can one person keep in a house for daycare? You got to have those same kind of parameters as it relates to people that are disabled.
How is this new
addiction.
part? What is this part of DHEC? What is this one? They've divided up DHEC so many ways now.
Right. Well,
what's this part go to?
Again, we've got the Centers for Addiction, Excellence for Addiction, to come in and use some of the opioid money to help us find out grants and other things, best practices, determine ways to solve some of these problems. Some of these problems are going to need to be, there's some of these people that are out here doing this not for profit, and there are others who are doing it for profit. And so that needs to be somewhat regulated. The number of people that are in there need to be regulated. Do they have sufficient psychiatric help to help these people that are addicted?
That's working
whoever's running one of these facilities. And, some of these facilities are extremely excellent, to be honest with you, and others are not so. And so there needs to be some measurement.
Well, I think the thing that is concerning a lot of people, I know we have this new organization. I believe when you were here before, you said they were just getting off the ground.
That's right.
It's going to take a while. But I think a lot of people that I talk to, and we talk about this on the radio, is how are we going to regulate, and what kind of regulations are you going to be able to put on some of these homes that say, you're out of bounds, you're kicking people out, just taking their money? I mean,
again, all that's that's an unfair trade practice if you find somebody's doing that, and that's what you have lawyers for, and lawyers can come in and bring actions against these people that are doing such bad kinds of things. Again, just because there's some bad actors does not mean there's some good actors as well.
Sure.
So we just need to be cool, calm, and collected, work our way through it. And the other thing is we need to make sure that when these people come, they agree immediately and set aside the money, that if they fell out of the program, instead of going on our streets or being homeless in Greenwood,
right,
that they go back to from where they came. And again, there's some constitutional issues about telling people where they got to go.
Right.
But if they want to come here and be treated here, then we have some control over that. But then they turn around and go to Lawrence or go to Saluda or
sure,
go to Abbeville or whatever. So we there's constitutional. You can't really make somebody do that. But, in good faith, they should do that, and there should be money paid in advance to give them that ticket they need to get back.
I guess it's the oversight that's always the problem, isn't it?
Well, it is for everything. Oversight is very important. It's just like the Medicaid thing we were talking about a while ago, is the oversight to make sure that, when you got a federal agency that puts in 66% of the money, and the state agency puts in 34% of the money, and it gets to control, the federal government gets to control the majority of it, okay? It's very difficult for states, if they're going to accept the money, not to do what the feds tell them to do. So there's some real problems there, but we just need to take a stand in South Carolina, like Governor Haley and others, that we're not going to accept additional Medicaid. We're not going to accept that money, and we're going to take the money that we do accept, and we're going to make sure it gets to the right people at the right time for the right purpose. In other states, for instance, in Ohio, if you're not entitled to it if you've got up to $2,000 worth of assets. In South Carolina, we are very generous. You can have up to $9,600 worth of assets, and you can still go on Medicaid. But you can't have $100,000 in the bank and then go on Medicaid.
I think what the president about having to work 20 hours a week and or be in school or be doing public service, I think those are all good things. I guess the thing that concerns me in our state is how, and this is always the problem. I mean, there are tons of stories about grants that have been given out over the years, and there's been no oversight. Actually, what happened at Delahow was because there was no oversight.
Well, I mean, we've got oversight now at Delhi. I can assure
I know you
that.
do. And look at how well they're doing.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. And we're going to continue to do that. And again, the government can get lulled into complacency, and we've got to get hard. We've got to push for this Doge, and we got to push every state agency as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think every state agency out there could probably cut 5 or 10%. Just any business that I ever went into, when the Piggly Wiggly Corporation would send me into a business or whatever, and tell me to look at
another Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, give me an opinion on what we can do to try to save money. You know, you would know what you could do pretty quickly and save X dollars.
Right.
Well, same thing needs to be in each of these state agencies. The head of each of these agencies need to tighten their belt. You know, and then we didn't do any earmarks this year. Okay, that's fine. But now we've got such a large overage. The money should be spent, but and we don't have a budget deficit. Thank God South Carolina is smart enough. We've got a budget surplus, substantial, 740 or 60.
And we also have
million.
A rainy day fund. I mean, we are in good shape as far as economics.
We are certainly as good as you can get, financially. So,
of course, there's still that 1.8 billion out there, billion out there somewhere.
And as you know, that never existed, and the fact
I just had to throw that out, Billy.
No, you're fine. But the fact that the treasurer made the statement that he made so many millions of dollars of interest on that money is just not true. So,
well, I think one of the things is what is our accounting there, right?
Yeah, and we're gonna have a new Secretary of Treasury coming up, and the people, if they want Mr. Loftus, he's done a tremendous job with a lot of things. And I've told him on the Senate floor I voted for him 4 times. And,
right.
But again, with oversight, you got to have it. And if somebody's not doing their job or failing to report exactly what it is that they're doing or not doing, or accept responsibility for it, during that hearing, it was said that the Senate was trying to get that money. Well, again, all that's political posturing. There's no way the Senate could get that money, and the House and the Senate would have to adopt it, and then the governor would have to sign off on it.
It's a thing between the comptroller and the treasurer, isn't it? That's where it actually broke down.
And we're going to have a new comptroller, and we're going to have a new auditor.
Right.
The one that was there left.
So
that'll shake out. Every house is going to shake out. If the people want those people in those positions, the majority of people in South Carolina, that's what our system's made for. A lot of people didn't like Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump won. Okay.
Right.
Same thing with Mr. Loftus. If Mr. Loftus wins, that's wonderful. We just need to all get together and get down to work.
Right.
Get down to the business and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Now, one of the things that we just had this in City Council where they had to pause a development because I think they thought that the information that they had, and I believe that's one of those new DHEC divisions, was providing information, and I understand that some of the information, that's where that oversight is, that are we getting that? Are they doing the work? Is it coming through? Nobody likes to point fingers at anybody. Nobody likes to do that.
I get it, but DHEC has a responsibility,
right?
And they have to go through this planning process to make sure that it's going to meet rules and regulations,
right?
If we're going to, depending on what kind of housing project we're going to build,
right?
And it the Department of Transportation has to come in and approve it for pedestrians. It has to approve it for cars and the number of people that are going to be coming in and out of that driveway and a host of other things. All those things have to be pre-planned. The water runoff has to be pre-planned. All that has to be done, and all that should be done before we make any kind of commitment, before the city or planning commission makes any kind of commitment to allow something like that to go forward.
Right.
It's good for them because, again, they get $5,000 right off the top. That's what it costs for every one of those units, whatever kind of unit it is. And then also the CPW and the water sewer, they get Metro Sewer, they get their tap-on fees for every one of those houses or condominiums or townhouses or whatever it is.
Well, it's an expensive proposition, and I think what some of the issue has been is the work actually being done, or is it being rubber stamped? And I guess that's
the
only
thing that I have seen and had inquiry about is where DHEC goes out and does your perk test. The only complaints that I've heard, at least from my seat, is that, and they allowed now, we put into the law last year before last, we put into the law to allow private people to go out and do these tests, private licensed people to go out and do these soil tests, perk tests as they call them, in order to get the proper right to put in that type of drainage facility or whatever it is they're going to try to put in. So I mean, we've if the government doesn't have enough of those people, private people can do it. They pay a little more for the private people, but you get it done quicker.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, I think that was related to a water runoff issue. And
well, we've got a tremendous problem. Most of the underground water in Greenwood, the city of Greenwood, was built back in 1933. And if you'll remember the sinkhole over on Henrietta,
right, that
I was involved in trying to help with that, again, we've got to be very careful because that infrastructure is very poor.
Yeah.
We've got to be very careful about putting any more weight.
Now, what about the roads? I was reading an article today where I think there is somebody is putting forth a bill about bringing the roads back under city and county, and the money come back into that. The biggest problem with that, though, is that none of these cities and counties have road departments anymore, where you used to have a road department to do this.
Well, and too, my brother and I actually had this conversation yesterday. We were talking about how they used to chain gangs back in the day.
Yeah, there you go.
Put down the tire and then come in and drop the gravel on it, and you ding your car up for a month or two until it got settled down.
Right.
But anyway, it's a problem. I mean, my brother called me yesterday and he said, Billy, can you believe that Highway 25 to Greenville is already starting to develop potholes, and they just redone it? What's the problem? And I just said, look, there's 4, as I'm told, there's only 4 people that are doing this work now. We had 7 or 8, and now it's gone down to 4. And you would think that because there's so much need for it, that somebody else would go into it, but it costs so much. I've even talked about the possibility of having a private industry until we got caught up, a public industry, like you were talking about the road departments or whatever, to do that kind of work.
Right.
And so,
is there any way for us to get caught up, though, at this point?
Well, that's the other thing. South Carolina has so many more roads than other states.
Right, because they're state unique. Roads. Right, yeah. Yes.
And so, we get these C funds. These C funds are allocated per county, per district. And then each county gets to spend 25% of it has to go back to the state roads, but the other 75% gets to be spent on the county roads, and that's based upon what the county, their decision, whatever priorities they develop.
Sure, and we do, and then of course we have bridges on top of that. So that is another problem. I don't think that is actually covered in that, but I just wonder. What would you feel about turning it to the counties where they got the money?
The government closest to the people is always the best government.
Right, exactly.
And it always has been. But, if we don't have a 25-year plan and have the state involved in that 25-year plan and that county in that 25-year plan, I mean, how do we expect to coordinate with the other counties if they don't have these roads interconnect all of our counties? And
right.
So we all have to be on the same page to make that work, okay? And so without having everybody on the same page, I'm not sure that would work. And it used to work, but apparently it didn't because they did away with it. Again, I don't.
Yeah, and then look at the state we're in because they did away with it. Now, I don't know. That's just a comment I made, yeah.
And maybe you're correct, and maybe it's something that we need to look at. I do know that the Department of Transportation is really working hard. They're doing what they can to try to get these roads repaired. But, they're not doing it fast enough for my liking.
No.
And, I like Mr. Justin Powell. He's a tremendous asset. I think he's a hard worker, and I think he really cares. And all I can say is that, it's a problem that the state, it's not just here in our area.
No, it's
across
the
the entire state. So, but this is not just in our state, it's in a lot of other states as well, especially with as much road as we have in South Carolina per capita.
Right.
Okay. And so also this idea of these electric vehicles, to the extent that they're involving or injuring our use of the roads and that kind of thing, whether or not they should have to pay. I think anybody that uses the roads should have to pay.
So what particularly are you going to be working on in the new session?
Well, let me say this. Can you imagine that we've got the Conestee Dam done? We had all these earthquakes here in Greenwood.
Right.
And just think about that. All of a sudden, all those earthquakes, and the day before, we found out that the dam is mostly complete.
Yeah, it's done. It's just the cosmetic work really
cosmetic,
to be done.
Under budget, under budget and ahead of time. That sounds Trumpian to me.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited about that. I can't.
I saw the water flowing over it and everything. It's tremendous. All the
people that worked on that is just tremendous. Again, I'm going to be working on medical affairs. We're going to deal with scope of practice in September. We're going to have some work to help our doctors, and they're trying to make a decision how much work can nurses do, how much work can PAs do versus a doctor. So there's going to be a scope of practice debate there. There's this thing about casino gambling, horse betting. All that's going to be coming up in this next session.
What about marijuana?
It'll be coming up as well. My adoption bill.
This is a continuation of last year's session, though, right?
It is.
So,
yes, it's continuation. The bill was already there. It just may get debated this next year. The adoption bill that passed the Senate, the one that I sponsored, and so again, I really feel like we need to increase our ability to get adoptions done quicker.
Right.
Than they're being done, and it passed the Senate unanimously. So now we're down to getting the House involved. Lander's doing tremendous. Our investment in Lander for our nursing students. I mean, they hit enrollment records again. I mean, Dr. Constantino and Jesse Constantino are just making it happen there. Piedmont Tech, Hope Rivers. I mean, I can't tell you how proud I am of her and that team over there. The money's coming into them. There's absolutely no reason for any student, any child in South Carolina in Greenwood, South Carolina, not to be fully educated, either in a trade or in a college degree of any kind. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And they're doing a lot of this online, so even the older folks, who couldn't afford college or whatever, couldn't do it early on, can now go back and do it if they want to. So I'm excited about that. Piedmont Tech has got these mobile units now. Ann, are you familiar with those? Mm-hmm. Where these mobile units can do megatronics and go out and teach kids the idea of megatronics at those high schools. So I'm excited about that. And then, we voted on small businesses. There'll be some more work on tort reform. We were able to help the liquor liability cause. I voted in favor of it. In some aspects, I voted in favor of what we did. And again, it's not something that's going to be fixed overnight. It's something that's going to take some time and
I think the question is, are we going to be able to get the insurance rates to go down? That is the question.
And I can only tell you that we've cut it substantially. In other words, if you're required to have $1 million to start with, but if you go ahead and put in all these treatments, I told you about this before.
Sure,
it's the House version that I was in favor of, and that's what ultimately passed. A House version where right off the bat, if you have all your servers trained, it's $250,000 off of that $1 million, so $750,000.
No, but I'm talking about the insurance companies reducing their rates. And
I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
And there needs to be some insurance reform, in my estimation.
Right.
There needs to be some insurance reform, and they need to be subject to the Unfair Trade Practices Act, like every other business in this state.
Correct.
There's an obligation of good faith in every transaction in South Carolina. It's built into every contract as a matter of constitutional law, as a matter of common law. And so why are you excusing one industry?
Because they don't have to show their books, right? Yeah.
Well, it's true. They didn't show their books.
I know they didn't. That's why I brought that up. Yes, I know.
Again, I'm in favor of, look, I'm a capitalist as hard as you can be. I want us to all do well. I want this great nation to set records that have never been set before, and there's no reason that we can't, with the help of God and our AI and all the things that we're going to be doing with the good people of America. I mean, there's nothing that can stop us, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, one of the things I did want to ask you about is yesterday I had Joel Smart from over there at the Burton Center.
Okay.
And at the law that was put in place that said they had to make minimum wage,
Right.
rather than be paid piecemeal.
Mm-hmm.
It has been enacted. I think it was in August of 24 that became complete. But I was talking to Joel yesterday, and one of the things that he mentioned is that the problem is that, and I don't know whether the legislature realized it, but at Burton Center, they would actually go and take, if you can do 100 widgets an hour, and the person with the disabilities could only do 50, they got paid half of what that widget maker that was making the minimum wage or $10 an hour. So the question is, but the problem is, the unintended consequences is...
Well, a lot of this is federal law, and I want you to understand that wage and employment law is...
But I don't think that was because y'all enacted that law. Y'all enacted that law. Or not, yeah, back in 22, I believe it was, and it was phased in by 24. But the thing that I wanted to bring up is what has happened is that we have lost the ability to train people to be able to go out. And as we have labor shortages, there's a lot of jobs. So what Joel was saying is that he's kind of hampered by having a training ground where that we're blessed here in Greenwood. We have Fuji that still does the cameras and that type of thing.
And the Burton Center, look, is one of the most remarkable places that we have, and we're certainly blessed to have it.
Right.
And let me say this, actually right now, Rhett Dominic and others are meeting, and I was supposed to be there for that, and you asked me to be here, so I'm here with you. Want to meet with them. They're trying to get together a life group that takes care of the people that have disabilities. As you know, Rhett Dominic's daughter has disabilities, so they're trying to put that together, and I want to help on that. Let me just say this about wages and whatnot. A lot of that is tied to the federal government. We have to comply with a lot of those rules and regulations by the federal government. The idea was, and which is I laughed at it because, look, Anthony Hayes, one of our local pallet makers, was using their help.
Right.
Okay? And then they started putting all these restrictions and whatnot on him.
Right.
As to what he had to pay and what he couldn't pay.
Well, that's the minimum wage thing, yes.
And all of a sudden it became unprofitable for him to be able to run his business.
Yes.
At the same time try to help these folks learn a skill.
Yes.
So, I mean, I get it. And, we actually went up to Greenville to Thrive. Have you ever heard of Thrive?
Yes, absolutely.
So
they moved all their people out.
We were upset about it. So, I mean, we went up to Thrive to try to fix this problem because one of our local people can actually train these folks who have the special needs to do these minimum skill jobs.
Right.
And so we were trying to, and actually he had some of these kids that got off of Medicaid and were able to have sustaining and got married, and then two of them had enough money. And so, again, I get it, but, you got these groups out here, these woke groups, that say that you can't do that. You can't give a person less money than somebody else. You can't do that.
Well, I think the shame of it is, from what I understand, it was two women down in the Lexington area that were the ones that pushed this, that had been able to do well, and that's great. But they are looking at the fact that they're being paid piecemeal. But what most people didn't realize, and I think your legislator is one of them, is that Burton Center and others looked at how much they were actually doing better by being paid piecemeal.
That's right.
Than if they were paid hourly. And some of the people that are out there being paid hourly now that could really fly through it in an hour now are making less money, and they don't understand why.
Right. I get it. Look, I'm with you. I mean, I actually went up to Greenville with him to try to help solve the problem. I get it. We were told that a lot of that was federally
South Carolina
mandated.
Banned paying sub-minimum wages to workers with disabilities via S-533 Employment First Initiative Act, signed May 23rd, 2022.
Okay. And
it
again,
phased out.
the question is, it's just like, when Roe versus Wade came about, South Carolina did away with this law and adopted Roe versus Wade because it was a federal standard. All I'm trying to tell you is a lot of these movements that happen are as a result of federal laws. Okay, and so we have to respond to that, or we don't receive the money from the government.
I understand.
So,
I just would like you to. I would like you.
Yeah.
I would like you all to take a look at that.
Certainly.
See if something could be done. Maybe meet with them out there at Burton Center and say, we didn't realize this, or some of the things that were put into it were oversights, because it's putting us short now.
That was debated. I remember that.
You remember that?
Debated, because again, and that's why I say a lot of this has to, if you look into it deeply enough, and I will try to do a little research for you on that issue, because I agree it needs to change. And how do we change it? Now, maybe we can get Mr. Trump to say in these special circumstances. I mean, he said no tips on no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. Then maybe we can come up with some. You got a right to try whatever medicine you want to try.
Right. Yeah.
He's come up with all these great ideas. Maybe we can get him for the special needs folks to let them opt out of the mandatory.
Right.
And then go and do something that's better for them. I mean, that's common sense.
Right.
And one of the things that we're getting out of Mr. Trump is common sense. And I'm excited about that. And so, to your point, and again, I'm aware of this because, again, one of my clients and constituents and good friend made it clear to me that I need these people.
Right.
These people are good for me, and I'm good for them.
Right.
He
it's
was so
a win-win situation.
He was so proud that he got some of these people off of Medicaid.
Well, and there is nothing. The objective from the federal government is that all people with disabilities or not need to be working in the community,
right.
And that's a good thing.
But they're saying they have to treat them equally.
But yes, but they need a training ground to be able to do it. And because of the program, a lot of the people that would be doing piecework sitting there out there at Burton Center don't do it now. They sit in color and do stuff like that, and that's a shame. They're not motivated.
It's a horrible shame.
Yes. So we're hurting our people.
I'm with you. I'll look into that a little bit more and see if there's anything we can do. But I honestly believe that we were pushed by on the federal side, and we would lose various monies if we didn't comply. So again, it's just like Medicaid. We have to do certain things. Because Medicaid, if you don't comply, that's what you got now. You got Trump telling California, if you don't help us with ICE, we're going to defund you.
Right.
Or if you on your education, if you don't take care of everybody, and
right.
if you discriminate against Jewish folks, we're going to cut your funds off.
Right.
Again, that's a big stick that the federal government has, and probably more than it should have ever had. But it has it now,
right.
And hopefully it'll be welded in a way that is good for the people.
Sure. Now, I got one more question I want to ask you, and then I'll let you have a closing statement here today. What is this with fake Republicans? What are we talking about with fake Republicans?
Fake Republicans?
Yes. Republicans that are fake Republicans. What are fake Republicans? I've even seen that in some posts here lately.
You haven't seen it. You haven't seen it from me.
No, not from you. But I thought because you're the know-all senator for District 10.
But let me just say this: there are those who have ideas that aren't as conservative as some of the other of us. I'm very, very conservative, Christian conservative, so that guides my decision making, as I've always said. And there's some folks that just aren't guided in those same lights and same principles. But we're all there, and we've been elected by our people. Mm-hmm. I represent everybody in my district, and everybody's got different ideas. So I don't want to call anybody fake because they've got a different idea. I want to listen to their idea and try to decide whether or not, am I right on this or am I wrong on this? And soul search about these issues. These are very important issues.
Sure.
They affect people's lives every day. And it's important to me to make sure that I listen to all of it. And then I have to make a decision. Some decisions are harder than others to make because of that very analysis. But that's what we have to do. So, I mean, if somebody doesn't like my way of doing it and call me fake because I'm a hard right conservative, then I guess I'm fake, Or if somebody calls somebody else, what I would call, you've heard the term rhino,
Right.
which is, most people who are in the Republican Party were once Democrats. So some of them have kept some of those tendencies, let's say, and they aren't as hard right as some of the newer folk. But again,
Lindsey Graham is usually referred to as a rhino.
well, again,
Yeah.
I won't comment other than to say that it's the combination of all of us
Right.
working together, whether you're a Democrat, Independent, Republican, or you're just a nonpartisan. We all have to work together, Ann, in my estimation, to push us all forward. We're all in this together, whether we like it or not.
One of the things though that I noticed is that as an organization down there, the House and the Senate, y'all had a super majority, and yet it seemed to me, and I know you're not going to like this, that y'all kind of failed, and that do you not believe that we need at least the two-party system to move things forward? Should it all be just one party?
And what happens is, if you'll go through history and look at it, you will see that parties, were opposed, of course, by many of the Federalists, back in the day.
Right.
And so the idea of having parties, what's going to happen if everybody becomes a Republican, then whether you like it or not, you're going to have some Republicans who are liberal in their thinking,
Right.
on social issues,
Right.
especially, and they're going to be hard right on fiscal issues. So if there's only one party, you're still going to have the differences.
Right.
So saying that somebody's fake, in my estimation, is a misnomer. Again, I'm not gonna criticize anybody. I represent the people of District 10. That's who I represent, and I listen to them, and I want to know what they want to know. So as long as I'm carrying out what they want me to do, I can't be fake. I got to be straight up. I got to be straight up as to what they want to do, and I listen. I mean, every day I get a phone call. Every time I get a talk to somebody, I'll make a note. We'll send them a letter back and tell them we've considered it. Today I actually had one that I actually sent to a lady who was complaining about Medicaid being too high, or Medicare being too high, or the insurance policy that she got was too high. And why are we making her pay that? It's not us. Again, it's the insurance company. But, I wrote her a nice letter and dictated a nice letter. And let me just say this. I want to make a shout out to my daughter, Tara Mitchell Garrett, or Garrett Mitchell. She's a sweetheart, and she does me a tremendous job. Couldn't do it without her. She loves her daddy, and what's even more important, she loves the people. And so she's helping me take care of a lot of these things that I wouldn't be able to take care of as well. And also Sherry Tolan out of my office in Columbia. I just got the greatest people around me. They make me happy every day. And their goal is to make
more
sure.
importantly, they make you look good.
Well, they certainly, and that's a hard thing to do. But so they do that. And just a shout out to them. I couldn't do it without them. In constituent service, I told them from day one, learned that in the grocery business, is the customer's always right. So no matter what they say, and even if they complain, that we have to do right by them as best we can.
So do you think that, okay, so back to my question though, do you think that having a supermajority in the House and the Senate is a good thing for South Carolina? And at this point, it's a supermajority in Republicans.
Again, the shoe could be on the other foot, depending on does swing. History has proven that. And you and I spoke right before the show, and we were talking about these ideas. What happens if we get too far to the right and everything is set up that way, and then the new
administration comes in.
The new administration, and Mr. Biden comes in, for instance. Well, you saw what happened last time.
Right.
I mean, Mr. Trump put out all these executive orders, and the first day Mr. Biden went through them. And so you got a catatonic government going on. They need to be closer than they are. And they need to be closer to the middle than they are. They need to get along, and they need to work together. I will tell you that there's congeniality down there in the South Carolina House and Senate among the Democrats that are remaining. But let's face it, I mean, the Democrats have adopted some policies, and that just aren't popular. And as a result, they're losing elections.
Right.
And so I think it's more on them, to be honest, to adapt and change and adopt policies that make sense. I mean, this recent thing about upset because we trying to get D.C. straightened out. Or, if he has to go to some of these larger cities where people are dying. Whether you're a Democrat, you're a human being. Why would we allow that?
Exactly.
And
I agree with you.
It's been going on for years and years. And if we have to use the militia as we did in the old day, or the National Guard to keep the peace around, then there are those who, well, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. Let's face it. He's not a dictator. He's not going to be a dictator. He's going to not run again in 28. And there's going to be a good group of Republicans that are going to run, and there's going to be a good group of Democrats that are going to run. I hope. I haven't seen them yet.
Right.
And if they keep adopting all this Marxist stuff, if they keep adopting all this woke stuff, if they keep adopting all this crime, it's okay to commit crime. If they keep taking the position that they do on these immigrants, I read a proverb the other day about you should love your foreigners. Well, I do love foreigners. I love everybody, but the foreigners are gonna. I do. I really do. But, our God speaks to that. We have to love everybody. But look, I want the foreigner to follow the law.
Right.
I can't love him. If he comes in here and he wants to kill me, or he wants to rape my child.
Well,
what am I supposed to do? Is that okay? No. The answer is no. We need to stand up and be tough about it.
But don't you think that as we get rid of the illegals, that unto itself is going to take care of a large part of the problem?
A lot of it.
A lot of it, right.
A lot of it. And,
yes.
And I'm hoping that calmer voices when we get rid of that great, 10 million or 20 million. Think about the numbers that I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's 360-something thousand children that they don't even know where they're at, that they're trying to find.
Right.
They're either in workhouses or sex slaves or.
So do you think the House and the Senate, do you think that you accomplished all that you wanted to accomplish this last term?
No, we didn't. But it was the party itself. Again, and if you have a supermajority, you still have different views, and some people call these people rhinos or call them fake or whatever they want. I don't see it that way. I just really don't. I think they come there with the perceptions of their community, and that's what makes it great, is that everybody brings it to the table. And I don't like everything that comes out of the legislature, the Senate. I don't like everything. I didn't like it when they passed the medical marijuana bill, because it was a bad bill and it was going to hurt South Carolinians. But it passed the Senate, didn't pass the House. And that's the other thing, is that if one house gets it wrong, the other house can straighten it out.
Right.
And then until you get commonality among the people as to what we want, and make sure that the governor doesn't veto it, then we can pass a law. So again, I'm excited about being here. I'm blessed. It's almost Labor Day. We're excited about that. We got Clemson and LSU. Go Tigers. America, it's just wonderful for us to be able to live in a country like this. And I'm just telling you, I drove to Saluda the other day to have a meeting there, and it's so beautiful. Just the green, of Greenwood. If you go down South Greenwood, take 178 and go to Saluda, it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And so we live in a piece of heaven right here.
We do.
We just need to take care of it, keep it going, keep our debates going. This is good. I look forward to these, debates and discussions, and you bring up great points, and thank you for doing it. Listen, we owe you a debt of gratitude because you're on top of these issues. When the penny sales tax was out there and a host of other things that you were involved in, it's just wonderful to have both sides of the questioned,
Absolutely.
and then the vote's done, and then we get on. We accept the result, and we get on with it.
Absolutely.
Making it better.
Well, let's see. We've had a couple of questions, not questions, comments come in on our Facebook Live here. Steve Turner, thank you, Senator, for all you and our delegation do for Greenwood and other areas you represent. Ooh, thank you, Ann Eller, for having Senator Garrett online today. How about that?
Wonderful. We like Steve Turner. Thank you for all his work in '96, back in the day. and he still makes sure that the Historical Society and all those folks over there are doing right. He keeps me posted on what's going on over there. So.
That's right. Jonathan Bass is online. Great interview. Thank you both. So there's another good one.
Jonathan's doing us a tremendous job as our city councilman. By the way, he's helped me with all kind of work that we're doing in Saluda. We got $1 million grant for the folks down there in Saluda, and he's helping us spend that correctly.
Absolutely.
With the YMC kind of thing, the recreational center kind of thing, where he's an expert at it. So thank you for him and his mother-in-law. I think the world of her, too, out of Ware Shoals.
Faye,
right,
yeah. Yep. And Judy Davis says, we appreciate your service for all of us. Thank you for serving. May God continue to guide and bless you. So that's from Judy Davis. Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
She is a sweetheart. So, anyways, this has been a great sit down here this afternoon. We've covered a lot of different issues.
We have.
Yes. And do you have anything else here as we close it out?
No, just God bless everybody, and you know, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, of all the things that we're doing. We're moving forward in Greenwood. We're moving forward in Saluda. We're moving forward in Lexington, in District 10. We're making the right decisions, I think. And I think if we can get on that 25-year plan,
strategic plan, yes.
I think we'll all be heading in a better direction, and we'll all know where everybody's going, and everybody gets input into these strategic plans. It's not,
absolutely.
It's not top down. Again, the government next to the people is the best government, always has been, always will be. So we need to find out what the people want, and if they don't want all that driving and all that. I mean, hey, I've never seen Greenwood like it is now, you know.
Right.
There's a lot of people on the road around lunchtime. So we may want to break it up a little bit, you know.
Well, and I've got to tell you, Billy, that on September 1st, WCRS will be 84 years young.
Well, we need to do something for that.
Well, how about that? Next year will be 85, so we're still rolling. Rolling here at WCRS.
Thank you for what you do again. I mean, you're our voice. You know, I mean, we don't have anybody else to do it for us, and you do it so well. I mean, we could have just a radio station and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But,
right.
I mean, again, you get into it, and you challenge us, you know.
Yeah, that's right, I do.
This is not easy sometimes. You ask the hard questions. But look, if we can't handle the hard questions, let me say one other thing real quick as a public service announcement about Kratom.
Okay.
We've got several people that just recently went to hospital because of this Kratom product. And we passed some law. It actually came out of my committee, but it went into effect on 7/11. It's illegal to sell Kratom products, including extracts, concentrates, to persons under 21 years of age. Retailers must keep the product behind the counter or otherwise inaccessible to the underage youth. Manufacturers must clearly list the ingredients. Any of it that is synthetic is absolutely horribly dangerous. We've got kids who are hooked on it right now.
And what is it? Where is it? What is it from? And
it's a plant. The synthetic kind, of course, is just made in a laboratory. The synthetic it's a Matragenia specosus tree, which is native to South Asia, and it actually does good things for some people. In other words, the extract that they use that is natural extract is used by doctors for treatment. It's a supplement. It's a good supplement that helps. But what they've done, they've created this horrible stuff. They call it gas station heroin. I mean, it is really ruining some people's lives. And so we were able to get this passed. First offense, $1,000 fine. Second or subsequent offense, $2,000 fine. So just want everybody to be aware of this thing called Kratom. Make sure your children, if they come home and you see anything with Kratom on it, you stop it immediately and you find out where they got it. And you call me or you call law enforcement, and we'll see if we can't get it shut down. This is dangerous, and it's killing our children. We've got like 3 or 4 people that are in the hospital last week as a result of overdosing on this stuff.
Wow.
So.
Well, you just never know what's coming down in drugs and everything.
No,
it just keeps changing.
Yeah.
Even when you think you know it, then you find out there's something else.
And that's the thing. They keep changing it. And You know, these and China's got a lot to do with this. I'm sorry. I mean, they're sending a lot of this stuff over to kill our people. Why we're doing business with them is beyond me. Why we're letting them in our country is beyond me. It needs to start now, and we need to start slowly but surely eliminating first the land. These businesses that are tied up in, you know, those businesses need to be American businesses, and if the Chinese want to have interest in them, fine. Don't care about that. But they have to be controlled by American companies.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally.
I agree.
You know.
All right. Well, Senator Billy Garrett, thanks for joining us here today. I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. Same to you. And
Labor Day weekend.
I love that beautiful dog. Wow.
Princess Penny.
Princess got dolled up. You sent me a picture of her.
Right. She had a spa day. I wish I could have a spa day. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this afternoon. I will be back in the morning. I'm going to get a good night's sleep, and I'll see y'all in the morning. So this is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Let's show the end and cue the music. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, Billy.
Bye-bye.